Is your SEO becoming an emergency that needs some serious attention? If it is, you're in luck today because we're here with SEO guru Paul Reilly to give your site some serious diagnoses, treatment, and therapy. In today's SEO clinic, Paul will reveal some of the best strategies to improve your site's organic search rankings and will uncover some great techniques for your SEO. Not only will Paul be presenting some of his best practices for affiliates to take away, but he will also evaluate 3 iGaming affiliate sites live on the webinar. These affiliate sites were chosen at random from a number of affiliate sites that were submitted to be reviewed in the CAP forums. Later in the webinar, the SEO diagnosis contest winners will be revealed. If you have any questions about any of the content presented today, as always, we will be providing an extended Q&A session for the last 20 minutes of the webinar. You are welcome to submit your questions throughout the presentation using the question panel in the GoToWebinar panel. Before we get started, I'd like to thank today's webinar sponsor, Club Gold Casino. Join in the success of Club Gold's flagship casino brand and watch your business grow. Club Gold has everything you need to succeed. Club Gold Casino is powered by the industry giant Playtech and offers a superior product range of over 200 dynamic and realistic casino games that will satisfy even the most demanding of players. Sign up at Club Gold Partners now and get up to 45% revenue share exclusively to CAP members. What is more, the Club Gold affiliate program has no negative carryover policy. To top it all off, Club Gold Partners has now teamed up with NetRefer to offer you an excellent affiliate system with great marketing material. Register an affiliate account with Club Gold Partners or contact their dedicated affiliate managers for more information at constantinos@clubgoldpartners.com. Now I'd like to welcome and introduce our guest speaker, Paul Reilly. Paul Reilly has worked in search marketing for over 13 years and has earned multiple awards and honors. Today, he's regarded as one of the UK's most influential SEOs and is the first port of call to most iGaming brands. He's the founder of MediaSkunkWorks.com, which is a new generation service provider that has built its reputation on innovation and optimized methodologies that dissect the traditional agency model. It replicates success building world-class in-house teams and provides outsourced think tank and creative problem-solving services. Paul, it's quite an impressive resume. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the webinar.
Hey, thanks for having us. That's great. And thank you for that very flattering.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. I'd just like to also add that just through a twist of fate, I'm fortunate enough to also be joined by Miss Nicola Stott, who's here to maybe help me look good. And cast a second set of eyes across these websites from an SEO standpoint. So okay, so let's just move on to the first part of this, and this is just a little bit of an introduction to what really is important in SEO, and it can be broken down into 2 simple areas, and it's quite straightforward and very simple. There are 2 sides. One is on-page SEO, and one's off-page or off-site or link-based, or however you want to talk about it. But we'll start with on-page. There are a few key points, and we're going to get through this quite quickly, so we'll move on. Okay, so firstly, a site has to be crawlable. So it has to be accessible to the spiders. The links themselves have to be spiderable. The content has to be indexable in order for a search engine to understand the relevance of a page and navigate the site and understand the structure of the site. So that's the first thing. And I'm not affiliated with the following tool, but I thoroughly recommend for anyone who wishes to spider a site or gather on-site or on-page intelligence to use what's called the Screaming Frog. It's a great little tool. It'll run on as a desktop client and bring back the kind of information for you to quickly understand whether or not the site is firstly spiderable and what the markup of the site is. and a whole number of other technical points, which are far too vast to go into in this short space of time. The second important, and in the following order, but the second point, most important point of on-site or on-page SEO is markup. You need to let Google know, obviously, what your site is about. And there are the top four most important parts to this, in my view, and again, SEO is very subjective. Firstly, the title tag is the most important factor of a page. And when you create a title tag for any page, it is going to influence the perceived relevance of that page. The most important page of a site is the home page. So I suppose the most important tag of all is your home page title tag. And this needs to be around the keyword that you selected. Now, as I always say, picking a keyword is picking a fight. And unless you're prepared to win that fight, you should never pick a fight unless you know you're going to win it, because you're going to get hurt. It's going to cost you a whole lot of budget, a whole load of expenditure that could have gone elsewhere. Now, unless you're going to win that fight, you'd be better off doing some PPC or some display advertising or whatever, co-branding deal, whatever you want to do. But your selection of keyword is absolutely critical. So I'm just getting 1 second. Okay. Another point is that semantic markup in HTML5 is becoming increasingly important, something I should add. But really, it's about the keyword, and it's about winning the fight. Now, the second most important thing, tag on the page, would be, in my view, the description. Now, the description doesn't influence the ranking or position of the page, but it does influence, or not directly at least, it influences the click-through rate by offering the kind of snippet of copy in the search result which compels the click. Now, I said indirectly it does influence, or I said it doesn't influence directly, so that implies it influences indirectly the ranking, but it influences that through user behavior and click-through rate. So having a compelling description tag, while the keyword optimization is irrelevant, it is important that you have something compelling that gets the click, because that click-through rate, or the relative click-through rate compared to your competitors, will ensure a boost in your rankings. Next behind that is the document structure, so the H1s, H2s, H3s, etc. So make sure you at least have an H1 and an H2, and if the content requires it, perhaps an H3 or even an H4, multiple H3s, multiple H4s, but only have one H1, so that's the heading tag. And just structure the document sensibly in some kind of document hierarchy that makes sense to you, and therefore should make sense to search engines. The other point of on-page SEO, I would say, would be the content. Write it for humans. Do not write it for search engines. I still see pages of content or snippets of content, paragraphs that have been added to graphic-rich pages, or particularly with operators, but also with affiliates, where the content is written for the search engines. Now, again, if the content doesn't read well and doesn't engage the user that visits your site, then you're going to get things like clickbacks and bounce rates that send bad signals to the search engines. And those really are the key points of on-page. I'm just going to, do you have anything that you like to copy? No? Okay. Right, in that case, we're going to move to the next slide. Okay, now this next bit, I save it to the last because it's probably more important by a long stretch than the on-page. We know this because even without any on-page keyword signals, you can still rank things based on links. Classic example being click here, and Adobe Acrobat Reader page ranks even without the presence of the words click here. So this tells us that off-site SEO is very important. So let's look at this. Okay, anchor text variation. Now the anchor text, the link text that points to the page, needs to be diverse. If it isn't diverse, you will be penalized, more so now than ever. Velocity, increased link velocity. This is something that I don't personally buy, and I haven't, based on a number of reasons, but I'm not going to say those now, we don't have time. But I believe that you can build links at pretty much any rate, providing the diversity is there. Okay, next thing, placement types. You don't want to get involved in too many homepage tenancy placements because the recurring costs double year on year if you're going for 12 months, and you find yourself in a situation where you cannot sustain a profit. So look for things like blog posts, genuine natural links, even some directory links to create that solid base that doesn't require ongoing recurring payments. The placement process is also very important. When link building, you don't want to show your hand until you know that the potential link seller, and we're talking about buying and selling links here, let's face it, in casino, there's no such thing as a natural casino site. They fall into one of three categories that we covered in the last webinar when I was on here with Nick. So there are three categories. There's the genuine publisher, such as CAP, as an example. There are examples where the affiliate is driving players and therefore not interested in revenue from links, so he's not going to sell your link. And the other example will be the failed affiliate, where the affiliate went to start out with great intentions of being an affiliate, but didn't make any money from affiliate marketing, so now he's selling links. The other example is, of course, the link network, where the site or network has been built specifically for the purpose of selling links. Now, while you're buying or placing links, do not show your hand unless you know there's a deal going to take place. All too often, people, SEOs, do enjoy blogging about being approached by various link brokers or link sellers, link buyers, and they out quite publicly on their blogs and on Twitter, whatever, the activities of link buying by some operators and affiliates. So be careful. Okay, and the thing that really does, in my opinion, separate the winners from the losers, excuse me, I'll just have a quick drink, is the negotiation. If two people are competing for position one and they both have the same budget, the guy who gets his links cheaper will win, and that's a fact. And now, this really does highlight the importance of negotiation. So when placing links, negotiation really is one of the key determining factors of whether or not you will win that battle. And that's pretty much it, really. There are other things, other complexities, but when it comes down to it, iGaming SEO is about who's got the biggest hammer. And that's that. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so we're evaluating esportbets.org, and we're going to look through some statistics for this site. Now, this is going to be primarily off-site, but we've started with the Screaming Frog spider data set. So we ran the spider, crawled the site, and this is really to give you an idea of what the Screaming Frog is all about, but we've just got a quick screen capture to make it quite simple. We have all the information in here. If we were to scroll over to the right, which we can't, because as I say, it's just a screenshot, we've got details such as heading tags, canonicalization, and many, many other pieces of vital information. Okay, so in this instance, we have a site that's returning 200 HTTP response codes, which means that the site is fine, all is well. There is an example there of not found, but that's common in large sites, although you may wish to 301 redirect this. Or just to say, yeah, so there are 3 sites that we picked from the many, and this was one of them. So just so you know that as well. Okay, we've got titles that are all very well populated. The meta descriptions are all well populated, although I do think there's perhaps some of them are quite large, but not to worry, they'll be truncated by Google in the search results, and you can see some keywords over there as well. Okay, in this instance, I'm going to look at some of the search metrics data. You can see that this site, back at the very beginning, if you just see my pointer there, started off live at 0, and once it had been built on live, there's a steady level of visibility. And over time, we've seen quite a lot of spikes, peaks, and troughs. And more recently, in recent times, and this is probably why this site was submitted, we've seen a drop-off in the traffic. Now, visibility, just to give that some definition, I believe is based on it's a proprietary metric from Search Metrics, which is calculated based on a number of on what keywords are visible and the search volume of those keywords drive, as well as the rankings that are associated with those keywords. Okay. Now, as you can see here, we have a sample of the keywords this site ranks for, and the positions it now ranks in. Okay. We've also got the cost per click, just to give a bit of a feel of the value of those keywords, and a sample of competitors and their relative traffic index as well. Okay. So, looking at this, we've seen that there was significant traffic and visibility rather, and now that visibility appears to have declined to zero pretty much, and we can see the positions here are very low down indeed. So let's look at some data that could give us a feel for what's driving this. Okay, so this is data taken from link research tools, which I personally use. I'm not affiliated with this, but I do strongly recommend it. In fact, the chap behind this, Christoph Kemper or Semper, I'm not sure, Semper, has provided us with a special discount code for exclusive CAP, which we'll give to you guys later. Okay, so looking at this diversity of the types of links based on theme that are linked to this site, we've got quite a nice amount of blogs and personal pages, some gambling, computer and internet, sports, recreation, and some changing portals and probably some directories and a lot of other. That looks quite tasty. It looks quite natural, and doesn't look like there's any problems there, and that shouldn't cause any issues. The types of site, general, blog. Again, we've got a low amount of bookmarking. I don't think anyone really takes bookmarking that seriously these days. I certainly don't. Forums do count, but given the amount of forum posts that would have been chucked out recently, this looks quite organic and natural. I'm going to keep flying through these quite quickly. Now, looking at this is the Majestic AC rank, which is a metrics and parallels page rank. It's their own proprietary way of calculating the authority of the page. Again, this looks like a pretty natural distribution. And this, again, page rank, as you can see from the previous to this, is very similar in pattern. Natural distribution, lots of lower quality pages, possibly from forums, deep pages. And we're just going to whiz through this quite quickly. Link profile for esports, but based on the Google index pages. So these are the links that are linking in, and what kind of sites are they on? As you can see, the increased volume of pages, index pages, against links increases over to the right. Now that to me suggests like some site-wides, perhaps site-wides. Yeah, I'm thinking some site-wides. Now that, if there are site-wides which you could identify, it may be that a site-wide could be a potential issue. One to look for. Number of backlinks to the page. Okay, so they've got about 450 links linking. So that's, let me get this right. So a lot of the links that are linked to this page have got 0 backlinks of their own, which again is pretty natural and fine. And this in itself looks quite natural. Okay, so number of backlinks to domain. This demonstrates the domain diversity. And again, we have what looks like a natural distribution of domain diversity. This looks fine. Okay, same again. This is all pretty. This looks fine. Class C domains, again, I don't really buy that Class C domain diversity thing. However, as best practice, you also make sure you don't get too many links from the same neighborhood. Okay, and again, and I'm just whizzing through this quite quickly because there's a lot of data here. SEO mods, page authority of the links. Again, this is quite a natural distribution. If there are any spikes here over near the I don't know where my mouse is there, around about 60, 70, that would be an unnatural spike. Something to look out for, maybe trigger a flag, but it's not an exact science, but that looks fine to me. Again, domain authority, all looks quite natural. There's nothing standing out, although around about 90, there's a little bit of a peak there, but nothing that stands outside the norm, so that looks pretty much fine. So, keywords, okay, so we've got, again, the link profile here looks quite organic, although there's a little bit of a boost here at 1,000. Okay, looks fine. Okay, so okay, now this looks a little bit too spammy. There are a couple of points here. This again is the sports betting blog. That looks like a big, quite a large site-wide that's standing out. Again, this is just a sample. This isn't the entire link profile. This is just what we crawl. There may be an issue with a lack of diversity there, potentially. Although I've seen a lot worse, and I'd probably say it sits within the norm. Perhaps not enough brand. In fact, in an organic backlink profile, you would expect there to be the majority of the links, so the larger segments of this pie being brand-based. That's either esportsbets.org or www or HTTP or whatever, but brand-based. And this, well, it probably sits on the borderline. It is slightly over to the riskier side of that spectrum. Okay, now this is interesting. We've got a nice size of a nice amount of no follow against follow. Again, that is a nice natural indicator, but again, it could also be from automated blog spam. Difficult to tell. Now, here's one. The deep page versus start page is, in my view, unnatural. There should be about 80%, maybe 90% start page or home page links versus deep page. And the internal link architecture should tell Google what the page is about. We can skip TLD, that's fine. Okay, so I think the view here is...
Real quick, I want to interrupt. Sorry, I want to interrupt real quick. I hope esportsbet.org is in the audience. It's not every day you get a SEO diagnosis like that. So thanks for that, Paul. And hopefully these other guys are in the audience today, too, to get their diagnosis. So moving on to winner number 2, allfreechips.com. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, right, all free chips. Okay, let me just bring quickly the data. Now, the first thing that was spotted here was a canonical issue with the homepage. Okay, so the dub version and the non-dub version both resolve. There's no redirection or any canonicalization in place to tell Google that they're effectively the same page. Okay, that's the first problem with this site. So the fix there would be to either redirect one page to the other, or put a canonical tag in place. That's the first issue. Secondly, I'm just looking on my side at the Screaming Frog data. There are a lot of absent title tags. But again, the most important page is the home page. So, which is optimized for online casino guide, no deposit casinos, online casino reviews. Now, that is all well and good. So let's look at the link profile, moving over to that now. Okay, so just to quickly recap there, that needs to be canonicalized or redirected. Okay, now this is happy times for all free chips. Just looking at the data, this is again the search metrics data for organic visibility. Started off back in the day, bit of traffic, moving up there, and we're still about half of what there was previously. and we're climbing. There was a drop. Now that date there, 3rd, that looks like it could potentially be some sort of panda effect. And probably by this date here, if you can see my mouse, by this date, there's possibly been some kind of fix on that effect. Possibly some external links removed or above the fold advertising removed. I don't know the history of this site, so I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. But as we can see, there's been a recovery. So what I'd suggest here is keep doing what you're doing, because this is working. But since we've looked at the detail on the link profile in the previous site, we'll look at the link profile here as well. Now, just quickly here, there's some nice rankings here. Now, all this needs, this is beautiful, all this needs is links. Just get a load of links, but again, keep the diversity, mix it up, loads of brand, loads of anchor text and model, something that's natural and organic. Don't link to the brand pages. Don't link to the brand pages. Link to the homepage with the brand names and let the internal link structure tell Google what the deep page is about. Go for something about 80 to 85, possibly even 90% homepage ratio. Moving on. Okay, I'm going to move on because that's irrelevant. Again, there's great relevance here. The vast majority of links are coming from gambling sites, a great indicator of probably why this site's working so well. A natural distribution of AC rank, again, that's going to be mirrored on the next page by the page rank. Sorry, that date isn't there. The Google index pages looks about right as well. This is quite organic. Nothing stands out. Potentially this piece here is a little bit of a boost, but not to worry. Okay, number of backlinks to the page. That again looks organic. It's all weighted towards the 0. And here we have backlinks to domains, domain diversity. That looks fine. Although this peak this peak looks potentially a little bit high, but it's nothing outside the norm. Number of linking domains to the domain. Again, this looks pretty organic. Class C domains, that looks fine. Okay. That again looks fine. Fine. Okay. I'm just going to whistle this quickly. Okay. Now this looks great. There's lots of organic linkage in the other segment. However, there is an absence of branded anchor text. So probably worth being careful here. There is a reference here, all 3 chips, 3 words, but you need to get the URL variant in there as well. People naturally link with all3chips.com or www, etc. So my recommendation moving forward would be to augment that link profile with some additional natural branded anchor text. The no follow ratio looks about in line with the norm there. So yeah, potentially some image links would be worth throwing in there as well. Anything that's organic and is outside of like what would be an aggressive SEO style link or some kind of link that is there for the purpose of boosting your rankings. Try and take the view that less is more, and be subtle. Try to make it look like there is no SEO taking place. Okay, the deep link start page ratio is probably okay as well. Although I'd probably again be inclined to put the focus. Oh, wait a minute! No, I'm looking at it the wrong way around. I've got this inversed. Sorry, I apologise. That is a little bit on the other side of the way I'd go. Moving forward, if you're here in this webinar, I'd suggest linking more to the homepage, even if that isn't the page you want to rank. So say it's a brand such as 888 or whatever, link to the homepage and let the internal link structure tell Google what to do with that citation. Okay, so I hope that was of use. So I think the key point there was the canonicalization, the deep linking ratio, and the anchor text variation. Okay, so canonical is our 301. Link more to the homepage. even if that's not the page you want to rank for that keyword. And anchor-text variation, diversity, and what was the other one? Oh, there's another one there. No follow. No follow. Put some image links in there, and we should all be good. Happy times. Okay, so moving on to the next site. What have we got here? We've got no data. No, we'll move on from there. Data. Where is it? Oh, 1 second. How do I go back? Back button. Very good. Oh yeah, it's there. Sorry. Okay, so here we've got an example of a site that's appeared from nowhere very recently and disappeared very quickly. So this is quite a common problem, and I think we've got a pretty good feel for what may have happened. Okay, we'll look at the data first before we start making assumptions. Okay, so we've got rankings in positions 80, 50, 31, etc. for some brands, and we're not doing too well here at all. Okay, so let's look at what we've got. We've got a lot of irrelevant links on shopping-related sites, far less on gambling, and some social networking links, news media. This is an example of a link profile that has put relevance to one side, and it's quite an important one because a lot of these links will be potentially harmful to the site. Okay, looking at the type of site, general, that's all fine. Majestic AC rank, that's fine. A lot of low quality. Again, you can see there's very low volumes of there's a very low volume of higher quality AC rank links. Most of the links linked to this from our very small sample, and it is a very small sample, so statistically it may be skewed by the data we have, just for simplicity and time. But a lot of these links are very low quality, and we'll see this again elsewhere in this. Okay, so again, that's natural, that's normal. Number of backlinks to page, again, that's fine. Again, it mirrors what we saw in that first set of data. Number of backlinks to the domain, that's again a small sample, but looks fine based on what it is. This linking domains to the domain diversity looks fine. 1 second, I'll go back. Again, Class C domains, I don't really worry too much about that, but it's there. SEO most page authority. Again, this site doesn't have very many links at all, and very little authority built into it. Sometimes you do see sites just appear, drive some traffic and visibility, and then just drop back quite quickly. I think this is a symptom of what some people call, what's it, showcasing or testing or auditioning. So Google kind of auditions the site, puts you on page one. If people spend time there, it may give you an extra boost that carries on throughout the time following. Okay, again that looks fine. This is fine. Okay, so this is the interesting stuff. The chap or lady who's behind this site has gone to some great lengths to build lots of variation in the URL type of anchor text. This is great. Obviously, been paying lots of attention. There's image links in here. Visit home page. This is a great example of a beautifully augmented link profile. So the key issue here is there's just not enough links. So just looking at what else we have here. Okay, so there's a site-wide on one of the sites linking into it. I'm loath to actually reference the site itself, but if you email me after this, I'd be happy to pass on this information. I just don't like outing people for buying or selling links. And this could well have tripped the filter. It's worth remembering that even though you are building what is a beautiful link profile here, when a site is new, it's more susceptible to damage because one site-wide could account for 20, 100, 1,000 times the entire link profile. And that is the key problem. It could be that you've been filtered. It may not be. It may have been that you've been auditioned. It would require some further, Q&A to identify what the specific problem with this site is. But generally speaking, I'd just say this is a beautiful looking link profile. Just keep doing what you're doing. Identify whether or not you have been hit by that site-wide. If you have, it's not a problem that we can't fix, but it does account for 95% of the entire backlink profile. Okay, and let's move on to the next. We've got no follow, do follow. That's interestingly that the majority of the links are no follow, which is fine. Deep link to homepage link. Again, I'd build that the other way around, but there may be a reason why you're doing this. It could be that there is a section page that's a priority, but again, it's a little bit unnatural.
So the first question that I had come in was, how have the search engines changed how they've looked at links within the last year?
Okay, I think they're becoming more intelligent in spotting certain patterns. There's still a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt propaganda coming from search engines because algorithms aren't perfect. But they're certainly becoming more sophisticated in their ability to detect unnatural linking. That isn't to say that unnatural linking doesn't work, and by that I mean paid links, augmented link profiles, etc. They certainly do work, and in gaming, if you don't do that, then you're not going to compete. It's almost as if there's a separate set of rules. So you just have to make sure that what you do augment and what you synthesize in a synthetic fashion has the characteristic of something that is natural. So it's just about replicating something and pulling the wool over Google's eyes, really, in simple terms.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question that came in. Paul, in your point of view, which factors can hold the gambling websites' rankings on the very bottom of Google SERP for a long time?
Which factors? Okay, now that's an interesting one. The biggest one is, I suppose, the inability for the site to be spidered indexed. Although that is probably more related to operators with proprietary software, and it's a big problem with say, white label operators. But I guess from an affiliate standpoint, it's so easy to pop together a WordPress or a Drupal-based development or a bespoke HTML site or PHP, whatever. It's so simple to get these together in a search engine-friendly way that it's a rare problem for affiliates. The problem with affiliates, generally speaking, are link-related problems. And the way the links are deployed, and again, often is the case that links can cause more damage than good. And sometimes it's something as simple as we saw in that last example where a site-wide maybe accounted for 95% of the link profile. It had the same anchor text as every other link within that site-wide anchor text. And that will almost certainly cause a filter to be applied to that keyword in the target page. So, I mean, I hope that answers that question.
I think so. That was Alex who asked that. So hopefully that answered your question, Alex. Next question from our audience. Paul, recently Google has publicly taken action on link networks. Is this still a valid strategy? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. A link network that hasn't been spotted, sussed, found out, outed, whatever, is fine. And part of the deal is finding such a link network or building such a link network. Security in protecting a link network is probably one of the most important things in SEO. Now, myself and Nicola were talking about this earlier, and it would appear that a lot of what's been going on recently is related to, again, fear, uncertainty, and doubt on the part of Google to try and get SEOs and affiliates, operators, whoever's responsible for the SEO, to actually out the link networks by encouraging such webmasters to report and take screenshots even of emails referencing removal of link requests. So webmaster emails a guy who's got a link on his site, please can you take this down because we've just been penalized, we want rid of it. Google comes to them and say, please take a screenshot and send it through Webmaster Tools to relevant people and you'll be fine again, we'll let you back in. And that is the kind of technique used by search engines currently to encourage the outing of networks. If you deal with such networks, then you're going to be penalized. If you don't, and you deal with professional, high security arrangements where security is key, you'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. I know it's been a hot button issue lately, so thanks for answering that. Next question from our audience. Paul, is it good to have no follow tags on casino site links?
On casino site links, how do you mean by site links? I'm presuming you just mean the text links on casino sites, or possibly referring to the external links linking outwards. Either way, we can answer both those questions. The answer to the first part, or the first version of that question, would be yes and no. Yes, it's good to have what would be an acceptable, normal representation of it. Well, what we're trying to do, we're trying to replicate something that's organic. And inorganic link profiles, you have no follow, around about 11%, plus or minus a few percent. It depends on the vertical. But you want to have what appears to be a natural looking profile with some no follows. I'm guessing that this question is probably about this though: external links linking out to the sites. Do you want to just would you like to add something on this?
Yeah. Nicola, just to add to that, I would generally advise against using any sort of rel attribute in a way that it was not designed or advised to be implemented. So rel equals no follow is designed to prevent comment spam as a side effect. You can page rank sculpt, etc., but eventually they will catch up with you for that. So using rel no follow in a way that wasn't designed to work is detrimental, always.
Yep, no, I'd have to agree with that. It's a very white hat approach, and I like it. Very good. Yep, next question.
Okay, I have so many great questions coming in. This one's a little lengthy, so just bear with me as I get through it. Paul, do you agree on the SEO moz analysis in regards to social media importance? We did some testing. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Never. Next question.
Okay. Okay. Wait, can you share some thoughts? The person asked to share your thoughts as they thought it would be interesting.
Okay. Let's look at this. Okay, what is social? Let's look at Twitter. I know it's not the representative sample of social media, but let's look at Twitter. What is it about Twitter that makes sites rank? Well, based on the importance of keyword diversity in link text and the way that links appear on Twitter, and by that I mean with URL shorteners and domains as the anchor text, rather than anchor text as the anchor text. You can't put anchor text into Twitter unless you're using some redirect. I'd say that the reason why Twitter links work so well is because they add to the link diversity, and that's it. There is no connection, and I stand by this to this day, and it's a point that's been argued. There's no connection between Twitter being Twitter and ranking improvements. And I don't want to start ranting.
There is one correlation, but I suspect, and in testing that I've done myself, that correlation is related to QDF, query deserves freshness. So Twitter is a freshness source for Google to look at, along with various blogs and other real-time news sources. Twitter is used as a news source to trigger QDF signals. So if there's a volume of queries on plane landing in Hudson River, that immediately becomes relevant and a different algorithm kicks in. So we're looking for the freshest source of news as opposed to any valid and authoritative source of news on that topic. That's where Twitter comes into play. Links in Twitter are no followed. Eric Schmidt managed to fall out with Ev and the guys at Twitter, and Google are no longer given the Twitter fire hose or privy to crawl Twitter in the way that they used to be able to 8 months ago. So that argument doesn't stack up anymore. Facebook's always been a walled garden. Bing do have priority access because of other commercial arrangements there, and Bing quite openly and unequivocally state that they do take social factors into account and engagement metrics much more than Google do, but Google have burnt quite a lot of bridges there.
And just another point on that, just to like step away slightly from the social component and back to the link component. When you think about how powerful a Twitter page is with its internal architecture and the fact that every friend that links to you from their Twitter profile to your Twitter profile does pass a hell of a lot of juice and makes your Twitter profile quite powerful. Combine that power and authority of your Twitter profile with all the diversity and anchor text, and you've got something that's pretty powerful. And you're going to see stuff move quite quickly, but it's nothing to do with anything other than links.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for expanding upon that. Next question is from Chris. How big of an effect is duplicate meta tags with forum post type pages that repeat? And what is the impact of 404 pages if in large quantities? If you need me to repeat that, I'm happy to do it.
Just repeat that first part again, please.
Okay. How big of an effect is duplicate meta tags with forum post type pages that repeat? And also, what is the impact of 404 pages in large quantities?
We don't know, do we? We don't know which meta tag.
So you've got a number of different types of meta tags. So imagining meta title, meta description, meta keywords. Meta keywords are pretty much irrelevant now, unless it somehow adds the functionality of an internal PHP search functionality. Fine. If we're talking about meta title, then there should be some functionality within whatever you're using, PHP, bulletin board, whatever kind of forum functionality that should post unique meta title anyway. In terms of the efficacy or detriment of a duplicated meta title tag, if the forum page is distinct, then it should have a distinct title, so it will be to the detriment.
Yeah, you should only have one title tag, and you shouldn't really, I wouldn't bother with keywords as I do right now.
No.
And in large pages of content, I wouldn't bother with the description tag because I want Google to decide the description tag.
Exactly.
And Google are as through their own admission, something that the evangelists are talking about is they will customize your title tags anyway, and they'll customize your description tag should they wish to increase the usability and benefits to the end user. So, what was the second part of that question?
The second part of that question was, what is the impact of 404 pages if they're in large quantities?
It's not a ranking factor, but it's kind of a house in order factor. So it's a trust factor. So cleaning up your 404s isn't going to help you rank any better. But what it might be doing is taking some sort of inhibitor away from you. It just dampens down the amount of trust that would be assigned to you. So cleaning up a lot of 404s, anything over a couple of hundred, clean them up if possible, then you might see a slight boost, but it's not related to any algorithmic quality factors. It's just related to a kind of release of any antitrust.
And bounce rate as well, that's going to certainly be
Yeah.
impacted by 404s. So it's something you want to get rid of, and it's not a biggie.
Yeah.
All that data's there in Webmaster Tools. Have a look through, clean it up. It's just a bit of spring cleaning required.
Bing already do count engagement metrics like bounce, etc. Google, I'm pretty certain that they do already, or they don't unequivocally state. Bing come out there and state that we do take those factors into account. So you might as well do it.
Yeah.
The person who asked the question originally just chimed in and said, when I say 404, I mean index pages that are no longer existing, not bad links. Does that change your...
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Just 301 them to the next most relevant page. But
Okay.
do 301, do get rid of them. Don't leave too many 404s. It's just messy.
Yeah.
If there's too many, then 301 is approved.
Okay. This question is from Dennis. As someone that doesn't know much at all about SEO, is there a resource out there that you would suggest that will bring me up to speed with all the terms and actions that you're referring to?
There are so many. I mean, there are so many. It's just who do you trust?
It depends on how you learn as well. If a book is something that you're after, I know that obviously some people might be anti-SEO models, and it's quite a white hat stance. But Ran Fishkin, obviously, it's a good place to start for someone that's not particularly used to.
The Art of SEO would be a great start.
The Art of SEO, honestly, is a really good place to start.
Certainly for a beginner, yeah.
Yeah, for a beginner, that's probably one of the best places.
So Amazon, The Art of SEO, read it, devour it. So what are some of the strategies you can recommend that contribute to effective SEO practice with good player conversion? Okay, search intent is the most important factor. If you're sending players who do not have the intent of playing, for instance, they're coming in on an informational query, such as football scores or poker strategy or bingo rules. These are informational queries. But queries such as play poker online or online bingo, these are transactional phrases where the player comes in with the intent they want to play. They've usually got the credit card in the hand. That's the first most important thing. The second most important thing, in my opinion, is to make sure that the player lands on the right page. Okay, so if it's Bodog review or Ladbrokes bonus, for instance, make sure they land on that page. And that doesn't mean linking to that page. It means the internal architecture of the site and link structure needs to tell Google that that's what that page is about. And less is more with the deep linking. Link to the home page, tell people what the home page is about, and let the link structure do the work for you. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, Paul, just to let you know, it looks as if our hosts Michaela and Jill have lost their connection, so I hope the audience doesn't mind. I'm going to fumble my way through and try to put some, pardon the expression, intelligent questions through and see who we've got from the audience. Here's one. How often should I mix up my SEO strategy? Should I take a hands-off approach or try new approaches? I guess the idea here is, should I let the damn thing run or should I stir the pot every once in a while and see if I get a newer flavor of the week?
I think you should always set the strategy and then follow it through. If you don't give it long enough to follow the strategy through, then you're just going to be chasing around, running around in circles. You need to make a decision about what your objectives are going to be based on available budget, competitive landscape, etc., and stick with it until it's done. If you just keep having a pop at little things here and there, you don't give it time to see it through, then you're not going to really achieve much. So I'd say never change your strategy. Stick to it. Unless you've got proven data that shows or an experience that you believe based on your own experiences that things have changed or you have some intelligence that suggests things have changed and you need to change your strategy accordingly, I'd suggest sticking with whatever it is you decide to do. Don't make knee-jerk reactions. That's one of the big problems with SEO. Something happens or something doesn't happen most of the point, and you think you're doing it wrong. And it may be that you change your strategy and then suddenly the stuff that you're expecting to happen from your SEO efforts works. So just stick with it. Be patient. It does take time.
So it would be a fair assumption that SEO is not an instant repair type of undertaking. You have to give it some time and watch it grow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now,
yeah, absolutely. Link-based SEO can take a long time. And by that I mean the development of a link profile can take a long time, particularly in this sector. Casino is tough. So is poker and so is bingo, particularly in the UK. And you've got a long drawn-out battle. You need to decide. You pick your keyword and you pick in a fight, and you've got to win that fight. and if you don't, everything you've invested to that point, you've lost. You may as well have just burnt it. And by that I mean your budget. So yes, it's a very long drawn out battle. But it's best to ensure a quicker victory, as quick a victory as possible, so as to, one, get your return on investment, and two, keep the spirits up, because there's nothing more demoralizing than a long drawn out battle that doesn't really get you anywhere.
I can agree with that. Now, here's one. I hope I understand how this is being presented, but do you have any ideas as to what would be a reason for a site to appear in the top 100 within 1 month, then drop to like 700 or 800 and stay there for 10 months without any significant changes? It's a pretty open or broad question, but I'm assuming the idea is, hey, listen, I showed up at the top, and then all of a sudden I crashed.
I mean, the thing is, it wouldn't be the most sensible thing for me to give any advice on that without finding out other information, because I'm reluctant to offer any recommendations that could be harmful. So that particular question is going to now. But feel free to email me with your contact details, and I'd be happy to ask the relevant questions that could give me a clearer picture.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those. If there was an instant solution for that, we'd all be retired and living on an island. Can you explain why you don't buy into quote-unquote C-class diversity? And I express ignorance as to what that means. I apologize if that was covered.
Just basic from my own testing. I put the site page 1 for a primary gaming term, using purely links all from one server, and it's still there now. So that's why. Well, Nicole's just got something to add to that as well.
Just to clarify for those that don't know, the C class is an IP address is made up of octets, and in terms of a set, it might look like 192.174.513.83. So the third set of numerals as the C-class element, and generally a host will share a group of C-class elements. So the old conventional wisdom is that a number of sites that share the same C-class are a link farm, because a retro kind of way of setting up a link farm would be you buy a load of domains from the same host and ISP and knock up a load of shit content on there. But to be honest, that's not really, it's actually an obvious factor.
Well, C-class is like the street, isn't it? And D-class is like the house number.
Exactly.
So if a lot of links appear from the same street, it's still look unnatural, but I've seen no evidence.
Not necessarily anymore, though. It was an old method of identifying link farms, but link farms are much more sophisticated than that nowadays. Plus, the hosting industry has changed so much that you have a lot of monopolies. So you might actually quite legitimately get a number of really good quality sites all on the same C-class. So it doesn't really mean as much as it used to historically.
Yeah.
There are other elements to combine. C-class is a good identifier. It's a good flag when you're doing QA, and this was part of my job at Yahoo, was actually doing spam detection. So it's a good metric to flag up alarms, but then you need to wash that in with other stuff as well.
Yeah. It's good practice to keep away from it, and I always advise people to keep away from 2 and C-class, but in all honesty, I can make stuff rank with a load of sites on the same IP. And it works a treat. But that's not to say that might not change, so you need to be future-proof, so factor it in.
Great. I'm back, and I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. I thought there was some natural disaster here in California, but it was just our internet connection, so I'm so sorry about that. Thank you so much, Paul and Nicola, for joining us today and for being our excellent guest speakers. We will have this webinar recorded on the CAP website within the next week. And Paul, did you want to mention that coupon code for the program that you were using?
Yes, I did. Let me just double check the code. So it's Link Research Tools, and I believe it was CAP deal. Let me just check. Yes, it was CAP deal. I'm I'm almost positive that, although let me just double check.
Cap Deal is the name of the coupon code. What is the name of the tool and the website?
That's linkresearchtools.com.
Perfect.
So just put that in as the coupon, and you'll get 50% off on your first month. It's a fantastic tool. I love it.
50% off. That's a good deal to me.
Indeed.
Okay. Thank you guys again so much. If there's anything you want to add before we sign off here?
No, just thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure.
As always, likewise. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day and evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.